Welcome to Manga and Music, a new series where I talk about manga and the music I listen to while reading it.
You know, in case the title wasn't enough of a hint.
Since I was a kid, I've always loved reading manga and finding music that I feel fits the story and settings.
The kind of music that feels like a natural fit to the manga.
I don't know the most about musical terms, so I'll try to explain how I feel about it the best I can. But anyway, let's kick this series off with one of my favorite manga, Yokohama Kikou. Yokohama Kaidashi. By the way, the music we're listening to right now is not the music I listened to while reading this. We're gonna get to that. I just don't want us to be listening to nothing for a good couple minutes. Anyway, Yokohama Kikou, which I'm just gonna call YKK from now on, was created by Ashinano Hitoshi, and it ran from 1994 to 2006. The story is about a robot named Alpha and her cafe. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic Japan. No, not that kind. Instead of a desolate, depressing, Mad Max-esque sort of apocalypse, it's more of a quiet, contemplative, slow sunset of an apocalypse. The people have accepted their fate, and now they're just living out the rest of their days peacefully going about their lives. Why is the world like this? We don't know. The story never says why. And although I said their lives were peaceful, people in this world still feel the need to carry guns for some reason. What do they need to protect themselves from? And this world has so many other mysteries as well. Remnants from the old world, legendary creatures, the purpose of Alpha and other robots like her. What does it all mean? Want some coffee? This story isn't about solving the mysteries of this world. It's about the people living in it, celebrating the life that they have. There is no real overarching story, no villains needing to be stopped or whatever. Just a slow-paced, relaxing story about the simple beauties of life. I love slice of life manga. Reading this in the morning with a cup of coffee and a good snack is something you owe yourself. And as you go on in the story, bits and pieces of the history of this world are subtly explained. But what I love to see are just the everyday lives of these characters. Some days we follow Alpha as he manages the cafe. The next day we'll close early and go to the beach. Or maybe we won't follow Alpha. We'll see what the other characters get around to. Better yet, let's take a quiet ride and view the countryside. And there's a lot to view. The art of YKK is astounding. The author manages to accomplish so much with so little. His minimalist style, ironically, adds to the fact that this is a destroyed world these characters are living in, and yet shows how much beauty there is in that world. His character designs are great and really distinctive. I love the way he draws old people. And his art style in general is just really cute. I've read some of his other works, but I gotta say, I like his art style in YKK the most. Okay, I've been going on for a while now, and I still haven't told you what music I like to listen to. Well, it goes a little something like this. I've never played Final Fantasy X-2, or really any Final Fantasy. I played some of the original Final Fantasy X, and when I first started reading YKK, I thought I might listen to that game's rendition of B-Side Island. But I remember a couple of years back, I watched a walkthrough of Final Fantasy X-2. I never made it very far into the walkthrough, and I don't remember any other song in it. But this rendition of B-Side Island stayed with me. It was so comforting and serene. just like YKK. Even the echo on the piano reminds me of the empty beauty of the world. To me, it was a perfect fit. Also, I really didn't want to hear that frog over and over on the original version of Besaid. The atmosphere the art and the music create is, in my opinion, awe-inspiring. And when you time getting to a really beautiful page to when the music starts to get emotional, it's so gratifying. It's that same sort of satisfaction you get when you're doing really well in a rhythm game. That's another reason why I love reading manga to music. It becomes so much more than either experience can give on their own. It's always so rewarding to find a song to fit a manga or a book. Even though it does take a while, it's so worth it. And they become so intertwined that I can't see or hear one without thinking about the other. Besaid Island is Yokohama Kaidashi Kikou. While I'm talking about it, let me also recommend the anime adaptations. First off, unless you don't mind spoilers, you should not watch these until you get pretty far into the manga. There were 2 OVA specials made, one made in the 90s and one made in the 2000s. The 90s version is very quiet and it takes its time to tell the story. For someone like me, who reads pretty fast, it feels a bit slow, but that kind of relaxed, slow-paced sort of feel is just what the manga was going for anyway. Gives the story more room to breathe. Also, the art is just This is peak 90s anime art, and as someone who grew up watching shows like G Gundam, Yu Yu Hakusho, and the Digimon movies, I am all for that aesthetic. Seriously, the background art here is so gorgeous! And it only takes about an hour to watch both OVAs. I think you'll really enjoy them. Okay, the early 2000s animes, they go into some stuff that the manga doesn't get to for quite a while. So I wouldn't recommend watching them unless you've reached like chapter 80, or if you don't mind spoilers. But I gotta say, I really enjoyed these OVAs. Not as much as the 90s ones, but it's still good in its own right. Early 2000s anime art is really nostalgic for me. It reminds me of stuff like Fooly Cooly or Dot Hack or IGPX. It doesn't have as many captivating moments with its art, but when it's good, it's really good. It's funny because both OVAs were animated by the same studio and only a couple years apart. I wonder what changed. The music, however, is definitely a step up from the first OVA. The 90s version had good music as well, but it didn't have much background music. It mostly just used atmospheric sounds, with some songs interspersed throughout. But the music in these OVAs is quite nice. It sounds very cafe appropriate. It's funny how the music in both OVAs is so unlike Besaid Island. In the OVAs, they place more of an emphasis on strings, probably because of Alpha's Moonharp, but Besaid Island is mostly piano. But anyway, both of these OVAs are a must-watch for any YKK fan. On another note, the reason I found out about YKK in the first place is because a friend recommended it to me. It was her favorite manga. We always talked about anime and manga, and I would always update her about where I was in YKK. However, a couple of years back, she moved to a different state. So, wherever you are, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for recommending this series to me. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to do more of these in the future. There's so many other manga I'd like to talk about. So, I guess I'll see you then.